Started. Okay, welcome everyone. It is, what is today? February 25th. We have a couple more days left of February, a couple more days left of Team Cup. Hopefully it's going really, really, really well. Hopefully you guys are getting your team rallied together, really concentrating on getting that tier 1 prize at least. It's incredible this year. So we have that going on. So many things going on in March with 10 rounds launch, and I won't even get into all that today. I'll kind of get more into it next week. But yeah, today we have a really, really, really special guest who I'm just like so pumped to hear from. We have superstar on with us, Kristina Delgado, and she's like infamous. Like she's like the queen of Beachbody. And so I'm so excited to have you here. So Kristina, why don't you kind of kick it off and tell us just how you got started with Beachbody a little bit, and then kind of where you're at today, and then we'll jump into the Q&A.
Sure. First and foremost, thank you for having me on, Sydney. I really appreciate it. I see some Diesel Nation coaches on, some of my dear friends, Jessica, Colleen, love you guys. So I have been a coach now going on 10 years. My 10-year anniversary is this August, believe it or not. And I got started because my sister Becky got started before me, and we were, kind of in the same point of our lives of trying to have a career. I was an attorney, she was in construction, and we had babies at the same time. So I watched her get in shape with P90X and Insanity. If you haven't heard this story 1,000 times, I'll say it one more time, but it is what it is. I just watched her do it with the same circumstances that I had, and she inspired me, which is what our job is, right? And I saw my ability to do what she did through her and through her journey. And so I made the decision to go all in. My journey really started with drinking Shakeology, because that was one thing that I knew I could do. I'm having it right here, 10 years strong. Carl would be so proud. But I knew that I could do that, right? That was like such a simple thing to add to my day to improve my lifestyle and start achieving my health and fitness goals after having DJ. So I had Marley, who was 2, DJ, who was 4 months old when I decided to start drinking Shakeology. And within, 3 months or so, I was a brand new person. I can't even describe the change that I went through from a health standpoint, from an energy standpoint, from a, simply a desire to improve my health. I was a pack-a-day smoker. I smoked for a long time during my Beachbody journey. It's not something I'm proud of, but it is part of the journey of health and fitness for me. But it was that decision to start drinking Shakeology that got me on the path to eventually one day, eat healthy, eat vegetables, stop smoking. And it didn't start with fitness for me. It really just started with that decision to drink my shake every single day. And Becky asked me, after seeing some success with Shakeology, to become a coach for the discount. And I said yes, because that's a smart move. And it wasn't until 4 or 5 months later that I went to an event with her. It was the first ever Super Saturday, believe it or not. And it was in January of 2011. And that's when I saw the business. I knew that the products worked. I had already at this point started dabbling with the workouts. Hadn't really gone all in with one program, but I had already gone all in with Shakeology and knew that this stuff was special and it was different. And then coupled with the fact that I sat in this room back in January of 2011, and I got to hear not only physical and health transformation stories, but business success, and it blew me away. I didn't quite understand what was happening that day and how these people had these businesses, but I realized that something within me was already starting to change, and I wanted something more for my life. And I knew at that very moment that it was through Beachbody that I could potentially have more for my life. During that time, we were struggling financially despite being an attorney. We had gotten hit really hard with the housing crisis, because that's what Danny did for a living back then while I was in law school and starting my legal career. He would flip houses. He was a real estate investor. And in literally one day, it got wiped away. And when it got wiped away, we were left with all of my law school loans, which was $80,000, $40,000 in credit card debt, a house we could not afford. We literally could not afford. And then this business presented itself. And I said, you know, if I can help our family situation in whether it's big or small, why not? I already had the passion for Beachbody. I caught the vision for what this could potentially do. And I just decided that I wanted it all. I wanted all the recognition. I wanted all the accolades. I wanted to build a team. I wanted everything that this business, like I say now, I tell my team now, squeeze the juice out of the opportunity. There's so much here that you can, in a good way, take from Beachbody. So take it and work for it. And so that's what I did. And I haven't stopped ever since. And it's been a wild ride. It's been awesome.
I love that. Squeeze the juice out of the opportunity. I'm writing that down. Love it. Okay, guys, questions.
We need shirts.
Take your sound up. Shirts. What was that?
We should make shirts.
We should. Ooh, I love it. Okay, guys, questions. You guys can take yourselves off mute. You can write them in the chat. This call is for you, so go ahead.
I'll go.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll be quick. So what do you think kind of flipped the switch for you to then go from loving the products and everything you were doing to then a business person? And what did you do from that point forward to really dive into your business?
So that's a really good question. It was seeing someone else have success that flipped that switch for me. When we were at that Super Saturday, there was this couple there. They're from Miami, and they had this office. It was crazy to me. They had a Beachbody office, and he was the top coach of the region that we were in. I guess it was, I don't know, South. Back then, there was a lot less regions. But he was a top coach, and there was a top coach belt sitting in the office. And I was like, what in the world is that? And what, and how, and they started talking about the income opportunity. And I just said, if they could do this, I could do it. I know that sounds so freaking cliche. We say it all the time, but it's the freaking truth. I could do what he was doing. And yeah, there was a lot of things in my life that said, you know, you don't have time for this. This is going to be difficult for you to do. But I caught that fire. And then there were moments. I always say there was moments in my business early on that kept forging me forward. The first moment was obviously that moment. The second moment was sitting at my office one day on a Thursday. I used to pay my bills on Thursdays, Beachbody payday. And I remember sending more than the minimum payment to my credit card because of my Beachbody check that day. And I just said to myself, if I can earn $250 a week, then I can earn 500 and I can earn 1,000. And I just kept hacking away until I kept hitting those goals. Then, you know, conversations with Barbie, Decker, now Kalev, where she told my sister in front of me how much money she earned in a week. And I was like, literally my brain melted. And I said, my God, like that we could, with this, I'm having so much fun. I could do that. Then I'm just going to keep going until I have that. You know what I mean? Like, and it didn't matter what obstacles were presented. It didn't matter, because I knew that if I just kept going and kept growing and my mindset kept evolving and my leadership skills kept improving, that I would have that one day. Like, because if she did it, I could do it. And so I've never let any like life circumstance, and I do have a very strong personality in that sense, but I'm just going to keep going until I achieve what I want to achieve. It didn't matter how long it took me. So it really was, you know, these moments in my Beachbody career, my life, that, you know, I have the story of DJ being diagnosed with autism, you know what I mean? And that unleashing at that moment when I said, my God, you can be home with him and Marley and being more influential in their lives than being an influence in the law firm. Like, F that. Like, do this, get home. And you know, my soul literally like was set on fire when I realized I was coming home and I was going to come home. And it didn't matter how how much work it was going to take. It didn't matter how many coaches I needed to recruit. It didn't matter how big our team needed to grow. It was going to happen. And it's that relentless vision that like I've never turned off. I've never turned it off. And now, you know, my purpose now is to show, you know, our team that if you have that same mindset, you can do it as well. Did I go off track there? I probably did. I do that all the time.
That was so powerful. Hi.
Jessica.
Okay, so Diesel Nation has such an incredible team culture, like one of the most incredible team cultures I've seen in our network. And my question to you is, there's so many leaders in your team and you have such a legacy of duplication. And I'm curious, yes, just like Melissa, I'm curious, with you and Becky being at the top of that, what's your best tips for helping us learn that duplication? I feel like it's such a juggle sometimes, creating independent coaches, but while still having that team culture and staying tight knit. What's your approach with that?
So I think one of the things that we did really by accident, it wasn't really intentional, was always putting your core values first. And it wasn't really intentional because we didn't really understand these leadership concepts when we started building our team. But we always had these core values, whether they were written in stone or not. First and foremost is family, right? So, you know, you have to define this for yourself. And once you do this, you guys, this is how you will lead. This is how you will make decisions going forward. So define your core values. The number one core value that Becky and I always had was family. So when you were going to if you came into Diesel Nation, whether you came in to just drink Shakeology at the discount, or you came in to be a Mindy Horde or a Melissa Galame, you are going to become part of our family. And trust me, we've made tons of mistakes over the last 10 years. Who doesn't? But that was core value number one. Make everybody feel special. Make everybody feel important. If you do that, the rest literally will take care of itself. Our second core value, which I bet you all could guess, is fun. Fun is going to be one of the main priorities in building our team culture. That's who Becky and I are, to our core. I remember early on, as we started seeing success in the business, one of the founding coaches called my sister and basically told her, stop having fun. Stop posting all the things that you do. And Becky hung up the phone rather confused, looked at me and said, you have no idea the conversation I just had. She told me, and we made a decision that no, that wasn't going to dictate who we were. So fun and how we have fun is going to be how we build this business. And that's how we attract so many fun freaking people to our team that have fun with this. Because if you're not having fun with this, it really is, it's something that's you can easily step away from, right? If it's not bringing you joy, if it's not bringing you fulfillment, you can easily step away from it. Because technically, and the way that I see this now, especially as we are getting older, because when I started the business, I was 30 years old. Now I'm turning 40. Like, we're good. Like, you're going to have people come into your business that technically don't need Beachbody. They need the products. We can agree on that. But the financial opportunity kind of changes when you get older. And so having that fun factor is always going to be key, because we want these people to come in and say, this brings so much positivity and light into my life that I wouldn't otherwise have. So family, fun, and then I could keep going. Transparency, truth, trust, right? All the core values that we have are defined. And so every step we make going forward is always going to be led by our core values. So sure, I host sneak peeks for our team, for Diesel Nation, but just this morning, it's funny, we have this Diesel Nation leaders thread. I'm gonna be on tomorrow, right? I'm gonna host this sneak peek for my team. My sister's gonna be on. I have one of my coaches joining me. But someone asked in the thread, do you guys invite to the Diesel Nation sneak peek, or do you host your own? And very proudly, and as they should, 10 of them or so, I don't know, Melissa probably, she responded on that, I host my own, I host my own, I host my own, I host my own, I host my own. Right? So you want that independence because that's what's going to cause their businesses to grow. I will always lead the organization. I will always lead the team. I will always provide opportunities to thrive. But when our leaders need it, when our leaders need support, because every leader needs support, they can come back to the Diesel Nation resources. Right? That's always going to be available, but I'm always going to support them going out and doing their own thing because I did, right? So how can I, as the leader of this team, say, you know, you can't, you got to do what we do. You always got to invite to my sneak peeks when I didn't do that. I went off and I did my own thing, and that's how my business grew. So you want to support them becoming their own leader and in their way, and then always be the, you know, always come back home. Like I think Trina Gray said that once, like always come back to like the mothership. And so we'll do things together. Every year we'll do something like the Diesel Nation Olympics or a diamond push. Sometimes I'll host diamond pushes with other network leaders, and sometimes we bring it intra-team and we host them all together. Right? So always have those kinds of things, and that'll continue to foster your team culture throughout the year and as you grow.
I have a question for you. So you've been coaching for like 10 years now. So I've been coaching for 4, and I feel like sometimes I struggle with people. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're a little bit breaking up. Are you on camera?
Yeah, Amanda.
Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry. Wow. I was like, where is she? There you go.
So I feel like a lot of people forget like where I started, because a lot of people didn't see where I started. So they forget that I was working corporate, I was going to grad school, I was doing all these things. And obviously for you too, like 10 years later, how do you like take it back to show people that like we all start somewhere? Like you don't just wake up successful.
Well, you never stop telling that story.
Okay.
Ever. Like that's the story. You can't stop telling the story of where you came from, because that's how you're going to find the people like you that are busy, that are stressed, that have so much going on, but still have it within them to build this business. I tell my story of my hour commutes, I say it all the time. And look, I don't want people to come in, I call them wussies. I don't want wussies joining my team. So I tell the story of the hour commutes, the squeezing in this business every second that I could in deposition. I don't want to get sued for legal malpractice, but sitting in depositions and responding to a customer while listening to, you know, the questioning that's happening, or like doing all of that. And that's how you get to attract people just like you. There's 2 ways that I think are important for leaders to attract business-minded coaches. First is to tell the story where you came from and how you got started. The second one is to leverage your leadership as to where you are now and what you bring to the table and what you have to offer. When you marry those 2 together, you're going to attract people that not only have what it takes, but that want to be led by you, because they see themselves in you and your abilities now. So never stop sharing the story of where you come from. And that goes for your fitness journey, but also for your coaching journey as well. That's what's going to relate to people. Was that helpful? Yeah. I go back. I mean, I tell my story 30 different ways, but I always share that it was hard, that it was a sacrifice, that there were times where it was a blur, but that short-term sacrifice caused a long-term effect in my life that I would do it over in a heartbeat, and I'm sure you guys can share in those sentiments that at the beginning, sure, it was really difficult to juggle everything, and we didn't wake up and be able to retire from our jobs. Hell no, this takes time and it takes effort, but if you had to go back, I bet you would. So tell that story constantly.
Okay, I have a question that kind of goes off of that. So I feel like I do a pretty good job at telling that story of, 2 years ago, I started as a full-time teacher, and I really just started to get my products paid for whenever I wanted, and like get my nails done, and hold myself accountable for my own health and fitness. Like that's why I started. But that's not why I do it now. Like my why has changed so much over the last 2 years. And so it's hard for me to figure out, like, am I trying to attract the Kates that started where she didn't really know what she was getting into, but then when she saw the potential, like she wanted to do this full time? Or am I trying to attract the people that want to do this full time and eventually stay at home with their babies? Like, how do I balance that without, going so heavy on like, this is my full-time job, I want to help people build incredible businesses, and losing the people that were just like me in the beginning?
That's a really good question. First of all, congratulations on all your success. I follow it. That's amazing. I am a big believer, and I think that you will, if you ask this question to somebody else, they might answer it totally different. I think you should be telling both. I think that you should be trying to attract both. I think that people are like, oh, I don't want discount coaches. I want them to. Discount coaches build volume. Pre Beachbody Kristina, build volume. Post Beachbody Kristina, build volume. I want everybody. I don't want to discriminate because of that story or this story. I want everybody. And you can help everybody in every stage of life that they are in. And it will be, you evolved, so they can evolve, right? So if you started here and you got here, you want to be talking to that Kate before Beachbody, the teacher who knew she was capable of so much more and could influence and impact people so much more through another avenue. And the Kate, the baller, the one that's going to take you from here to there fast because she did it and you can do it too. Everybody. You know what I mean? Like, let's not discriminate. Let's share this beautiful company and opportunity with everybody that you possibly can. And I have the perfect testimony to say, don't discount your discount coaches. I went from, and Mindy knows this because Mindy was one of my sisters, like the second leader that my sisters sponsored after me. When my sister signed up as a coach, I email blasted to my whole law firm, all my contacts, all my law school friends for her and her business. She has coaches on her team that are my friends because I said no, that I wasn't going to build the opportunity. And it wasn't until later when I caught the fire and, drank the Kool-Aid that I then became a superstar diamond coach on her team, So I look, you can ask anybody else, someone else might give you a different answer, but I believe in share all the stories that brought you to where you are and bring in everybody, whether they want to just drink Shakeology or they want to build $1 million business. And doesn't that alleviate any stress? Like shit.
Yeah, no, it does. A lot of stress. Thank you.
Yeah, so like don't overcomplicate it. Just sponsor everybody.
Yeah, I feel like so often we're like, find that one talk to that one person and like get that one person. I'm like, well, I was like 2 different people through this journey. And I want both. Like I want the person that wants to, to stay in their teaching job and just have this as a side hustle. But I also want the girl who wants to stay at home with her kids because that's who I've been both people. So that alleviates a lot of stress and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it all.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Hey,
so good. Okay, so I have a question about time and time spent working the business, kind of that sacrifice you talked about, because the way that I grew and the only way that I know was I was working honestly 4 to 8 hours a day as a new coach. And so it happened because I maybe had more time. So sometimes I struggle with giving a new coach the Success Club tracker that says an hour, 40 minutes, 2 hours to do the work. And I personally don't think that that's enough time, but I do see people do it. I really struggle with that mindset that, okay, check off the boxes on the Success Club tracker, get the behaviors down, and you should be hitting Success Club, because it wasn't like that for me.
Right. I think you have to drop the rules around there has to be a certain amount of time that it takes to build a business because, again, I think everybody wants different things too. But if you I guess, double down with your coach and say, what is it that you want, right? What is it that you want? And then create the roadmap for them and say, I think this is the path, right? You should be doing at least a solid, hour of inviting every single day. I don't give numbers to my team. I'm not the type to say you have to invite 100 people a day, 20 people a day, because I didn't do that. I don't put numbers on it because I'm more of a quality over quantity. Really have great relationships that you're developing. So I think everybody is going to do it different, Colleen. So I'm also big on one-on-one, right? Work one-on-one with the people that are running with the business and develop strategies for them to do it. A lot of my people work full-time jobs. I would say the majority of them work full-time jobs. So I'm not going to tell them that they have to work 5 hours a day at this. I just tell them we have to be smart about the way that you're building this. And yes, you do have to set times that you do it every single day and show up during those times and be intentional. But I think that you should just drop rules, because there's going to be people that can build a business with an hour a day, and then there's going to be people that are going to need more time. You know what I mean?
Totally. When I do a sneak peek and we talk about like investment of time and, just like it's going to take some hard work, I struggle with almost in a sneak peek sense of how to share like what it really takes. Because people are like, okay, what do I do? I'm really busy. And I think about Jessica Lanier, who was like the busiest person on the planet. And she always said, if someone told me I had to work 2 to 3 hours a day, I wouldn't have done it. So I'm like, huh.
Yeah, okay. So that's great. I was like, am I answering this wrong? And then you just gave me a great example of someone that might have been turned off by that. I will tell you that if someone had told me that you need to do a power hour while I was practicing law and raising a 4-month-old and a 2-year-old, I would have said, I'm out. I needed to do this business the way that I could do it, which was literally whenever I could. Every day, I would show up every day. My coaches know that. Our team knows that. Every day, rain or shine, doesn't matter. I show up to my business. But it was at 4:30 in the morning, and then on the way to work, and then at the bathroom, and then on the way to court, and sitting waiting for my hearing. And you know what I mean? I couldn't do an hour straight. It was whenever. In fact, I have a funny story talking about sacrifice and wanting it so bad, where at the beginning of our business, one of our upline coaches was hosting this Emerald training call at 10:30 at night, Eastern Standard Time. I go to bed at 9. You know what I would do? I would go to sleep, set my alarm, wake up, get on the call, listen to the call, which by the way was not this. It was literally dial in call. I would sit there, listen, go to sleep, and then start the day at 4:30 with P90X. You know what I mean? So it's gonna look different for everybody. The trackers, which are amazing. We have the Successive tracker, Brittany Leggett's trackers, which are like freaking beautiful. Everybody does it different. You just have to give them the environment to be successful how they choose to do it. Now, they may choose not to do it, and then they're not cut out to be really successful at this. And you got to be okay with this. But if you're giving them the environment to thrive and they're doing it their way, don't put rules around how much time or anything like that.
Super helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's it. We're done. Okay, cool.
I have a question. Hi. I'm like a couple minutes late, so I don't know if this was already answered in some way, but I guess I'm wondering like how you divide your time with your team and your own business, but also with that being said, an extension of that, like what do you specifically do with your team? Do you focus a lot on pods? Do you do a lot of one-on-one calls? Like what's your majority team kind of trainings that you do?
So I set for my personal business is always going to be my priority. Everybody knows that. Everybody should feel the same way about this business. Leading yourself is the key, is the foundation for this business. You always have to be in phase 1, always have to be recruiting, always have to be bringing in new customers, and that's always going to be my priority. So I do that all the time. I can't tell you how much time I spend doing that because it varies so wildly. But I set my goals, my Success Club goals for my account, whether it's, I can project out. If it's a launch, okay, I'm going to go for 60 to 80. If it's not a launch, I'm 20 to 30, whatever. I set my goals and then I just make sure I hit them. Like the way it happens is like all over the place. You know what I mean? Then there's two aspects of our team that I lead. I lead Diesel Nation, right? Which is the big organization. And so in that respect, with my assistant, who is a 2-star diamond coach on our team, we run the monthly, we set the calendar, we run the monthly sneak peek for the organization, which you might not have been on, but I will always host a sneak peek for the entire team. But many of our leaders do their own thing. I'm okay with that. That's how they should run their businesses. If you want to be a 5, 10, 15-star diamond, you better be running your own sneak peeks. Like, you shouldn't be sending them to me because that just makes me look really good. You know what I mean? Like, just you have to do that. So I do that for my team. I run flash sales for the team. In fact, we have one this week. I run push to emerald calls twice a month, but I've been, our leaders are stepping in and hosting those for the organization as well. Diamond pushes, we organize that. This month, like Melissa Galame has taken lead on organizing a diamond push for Diesel Nation. Even though she runs her own team and wants her own, creates her own stuff, she's taken lead on a Diesel Nation diamond push. So that's the Diesel Nation things that will always be something that I do. And the team calls. Obviously, I'll do a Diesel Nation team call once or twice a month. Now, then I have my personally sponsored team. That's the second component of leading my, my business is my PS team. And with that, that's how I hit elite. That's how I, continue, recruiting diamonds and popping diamonds and star diamonds and all of that stuff. So with that, I should have mentioned with Diesel Nation, it started because of the retreat last year, but we have a great leaders thread, Diesel Nation leaders thread that's like all day long. PS team, I've been doing something that has been working. When I feel like things stop working, I stop doing them and I just change. But this has worked since last January, and it literally is what allowed me to hit elite last year by April. It was crazy. Is by the 5th of the month, I do this every single month. And this assumes that I'm recruiting and bringing in new coaches every single month. But by the 5th of the month, I do a post in my TTT. This is my personally sponsored team. If you have points on the board, I don't care who you are. If you're Monica Lopez or you're my brand new coach from last month, if you're at SC2 to whatever, I call it off to the races. So I do a post and I use a GIF or GIF. I never know how to say it. I always say it wrong, with a horse race. And if you have points on the board, you get up on this recognition and I start our push thread for the month. So by the 5th, if you have points, you get into a thread. I have one thread. I don't have a million threads. I don't have every new coach that comes onto a team in a thread for that month. No. If you put points on, you're going into this thread, one thread. And that's our push for that month. And every time a coach on my team, whether you are a $1 million earner or a brand new coach or someone just getting back into the business because you fell off track, you're going into this thread. What has created is this awesome community of new and old coaches helping each other, leaders and those trying to lead helping each other in this one thread. That's where we share strategies. That's where we share best practices. That's where I communicate with them. Like, we've got a sneak peek. What are you doing? Flash sale. How many people you've got in the flash sale? And that's where I do most of my communications. The things still happen in the team page, but the thread is really where the magic is. And then every time, up until the last day of the month, someone puts points on the board, I shout them out on the team page. So-and-so's going into the thread. And then they go into the thread, and that's where we hammer away with just getting to Success Club and recruiting. I shout out rank advancements in there. Like it just becomes, and then end of the month, everybody tries to keep that thread alive because they love it, because it has energy. And I'm like, nope, we start over. Boom, I cut it off. And on the 5th, I started all over again. And
So
now people are fighting to get in quick.
So you're adding people, like even after the 5th, are you adding people, did you say, or no?
Yeah, so the 5th is like when I open it.
Got it.
And I will add, if someone on the 29th puts points on the board. Last month, I had a coach have 0 points. I saw that on the last day of the month, it popped up that she had SE2, put her into the thread, and she hit Success Club. So I'm constantly like just encouraging. We could do it of course, at the end of the month, that thread is like, come on, everybody go, you know, like everybody's like pushing. And then if it doesn't happen, if people don't hit Success Club, it's okay. I'm very uplifting. You guys helped people, that what you always have to do is just love. Let's start over. Let's celebrate. And then let's start the new thread. So the 29th, my February thread cuts off. March starts on the 5th. And then we go all the way to the end of the month. How do I keep it hype? My thread's always dead. It's not all me, which is great. I have my leaders are in there too. And I ask them, I'm like, so I have a coach, let's say Suzette hits Success Club quick. How'd you do that? Like, what did you do? What strategies did you implement? When I create my IG story progressions where I'm doing, my coach sneak peek progression, telling my story, I will share that information in there. It's recognition obviously is key. So-and-so sponsored a coach, so-and-so sold a challenge pack, SE4 for so-and-so, and you just keep trying to have the conversation going. Some months are better than others, I'll admit. This month has been real exciting because of the Team Cup, and you just try to keep it alive, sharing resources like, there's calls like, how do you hit Success Up in 5 days? Everybody listen to this call. Some people share podcasts. Listen to this podcast, it's going to help you today. And just keep that conversation going. And yes, all right, Logan, this is my PS team with some adoptees from, if I have like a diamond that falls off the face of the planet, and I'm like, seriously? Like, and I see her coaches are hitting Success Club, then I'll add them in. It sucks because I do, so another thing I do a lot is I incentivize my team a lot, especially at the beginning of the year, so that I lock in elite before the summer, which is like my fun time. I just have to tell them like, look, I want to help you, you're going to succeed, but the incentives, I have to stick to my PS team, and it's fine. They're cool. They're building their businesses. So yeah. Let's see.
That is gold. I am obsessed with that in so many different ways. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. And I'm sure all of you creatives can probably come up with some better name. I just use a horse race because it's like, we're off to the races, but I'm sure you can come up with something better. And if you do, share with me.
It's so good. Okay. Any last questions? We have time for about one more.
Real quick, I have a question. If you could summarize for us what your process is for new coaches that are getting started, what does that look like?
Good question. I'm actually about to revamp it because so here's the thing with onboarding. Look at trends of what's happening with your coaches and adjust when necessary. So for like the last year and a half, it's been the same process. It's a welcome email where I give a short history of a little description of the team, of my sister and I starting this business, what they're a part of. And then, so then I think I talk about helping their first, I can share this with you, Jessica, or you guys, with all of you, because now I'm having a brain fart. But it talks about helping your first person within the first week of your business, which helps with those elite points, right? With the category to hit SC2 with a brand new coach. And then I take it a step further. I actually say that if you take it a step further and become a success starter, you get XYZ, which is what's happening right now, that the test group, the summit ticket, yada, yada, yada. And then the link that has our training academy. right? So that's what it is right now. After they sent that out, the link also explains to them once they start their business, meaning they announce that they're a coach, that they're doing anything, I'll get on a call with them, or I do group new GSRs. So like I'll do like a group GSR. However, there's a big however to this. I have noticed that none of my new coaches are actually logging in to our training academy. So that means they're not even getting through my new coach email, and they're like, people are so like limited with time, right? Their attention spans are even getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So I'm about to revamp, and I'm going to put the link, or like, cause it makes you go to a Google Doc, then to the link. I'm going to show our training academy link earlier in the process, and just shorten up that email to, this is what happens in your first day. This is what I want you to do, right? So that's important. The second part of my onboarding process is I am a big one-on-one person. This is like text message, voicemail, one-on-one. However, when they get those points on the board, they go into that thread. So that is usually how they end up in Success Club early on in their business, is because they get into that thread. But if I see them moving, if I see them engaged in Success Club activity, or, hitting Emerald, which I have hit Emerald in a 30-minute call on how to hit Emerald, I send that to them and they do it, then we're going one-on-one. Like I'm not sticking you in no pod. You know what I mean? I'm not leaving your success to anything else other than my mentorship. And I think they deserve that. If they're doing the work, then you're going to have my one-on-one. I don't do a lot. I think someone asked about one-on-one calls. I don't do a lot of one-on-one calls. I do it every so often, but I just can't like sit in front of a Zoom for hours and hours and hear sob stories about why I didn't do it again. Like I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna do that. So it's text message, it's voice message, and that's how I communicate mostly with my team.
Okay. Dara, I think she answered your question kind of throughout. You talked about pods, chat pods, groups. So when you're like pushing for a big goal, like superstar or something like that, how do you keep the team like pushing together, going through quals? What kind of things do you do for that?
Communication. So I think before you even get into a qualification, it's sharing why this goal is important to the team. You have to be able to communicate that. If not, and I made these mistakes, you guys, like my first 5-star, it was all about me, and later I realized like you can't sustain a business when you're not sharing the importance of these major milestones with your team and how it will eventually impact their business, right? At one point, they're going to be in this position to have to communicate this goal with their team. So the better you get at that, the better they're going to get at that. And that's going to help you duplicate like major leadership on your team sooner and faster and more effectively. So communicate why it's important to the team. When I pushed for Superstar, they knew that this was not about me. In fact, the reason why I even pushed for Superstar after thinking that it was impossible was because one of our coaches, his name was Greg Todd, he sat with my sister at lunch at a summit. He was brand new, and he was like, who's that Lindsay Matway chick? And I'm like, well, she's like the top coach. She's amazing. And he's like, yeah. But she's like the superstar thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's the top ranks, 15-star diamond. He was like, why aren't you that yet? And I'm like, well, I just didn't think it was possible. And he's like, no. You see, it's not about you thinking it's impossible. It's you doing it so you can show what's possible to your team. And when he said that, my sister and I were like, well, shit. Then I got to do that. And at that point, it didn't matter if it was 15 or 20 diamonds. It was just going to happen. We were going to work towards it. And we communicated that to our team. Like, this wasn't about us. This was about showing you guys that it's possible, right? So there's a purpose behind these big goals. There's a purpose behind elite. There's a purpose behind a rank advancement. So that's important. Then the second thing is communicate. communicate. For a long time, I was scared to talk about what happens if someone drops rank, or if they don't have that coach get active, or they don't talk to their mom about processing their Shakeology HD. And it would cause this tension within my diamonds, and then my diamonds would feel stressed out. So I'm like, with my newer coaches that I'm bringing on, and we're hitting, some, whether it's a 2-star in a secondary business center or whatever it is, I'm honest, like, to a fault. And we talk about things, and it's not, and I tell them, you guys, I am telling you this because when you have that first diamond pop on your team, you want to be just like this. Trust me, don't be who I was when I first started building, where you were scared to talk about it because you thought it was like selfish or whatever. No, you guys, there's money on the table here. There's things that we need to do together. And if we do it together, you're going to know how to do it with your coaches down the line. So over communicate in a very uplifting and positive way, like not like whipping the what's the saying? Whipping whatever. Like that you're positive and uplifting about it, and let's do this, and it's Thursday night, let's check our drill downs right now. Susie, I see so and so's inactive, I see her order's supposed to ship tomorrow, just make sure you check on that. Do you know how to check on that order and whether it's going to ship or not? And just talk it through. A lot of new diamonds don't even know you could do that, so it's a good, take it as a learning and training opportunity for them. Crack the whip. There we go, Kate. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, seriously, thank you so much. This was gold. I have so many notes. Thank you for sharing all your tips and tricks of how you are like Kristina Delgado. So we really appreciate you being here. Everyone else, I'll see you guys next week, same time, same Zoom link. And I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Better take a picture.
Yes. Hold on. Let me see if I can let's do a boomerang. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.